and bring our individual best to make the team collective be as best as it possibly can be.
Do you find, or how do you go about keeping like your mental IQ, not mental IQ, but kind of your hockey IQ sharp? Like, do you watch a lot of footage outside? Do you get access to a lot of footage from training?
Yeah, it's awesome. We've got a software that we can access at home these days. So the benefits of technology, My Team Performance, we log on, it's pretty much up there within a couple of hours post-game. All of our games are coded, so you can go double-click on your line, your name, and watch all of your codes. And then you can watch other things, like so many other things are coded. So whether it's outlets or press or, those bits and pieces. So I spend a fair bit of time reviewing footage. More often than not, I review the room for improvement footage more than the
room for improvement,
Yeah, the positive footage, because you learn more from the areas you could have done something better. Doing something good is good, that's fine. But hey, that situation, I needed to be better that time, and how can I be better? Footage for me is a big one. Talking to other people in the training environment is a big one. It's probably something I do naturally, and actually sometimes I need to stop because I'm playing against my own teammates who are on the opposition team on the given day, and I'm giving them feedback then and there. Which I'm more than happy to do, but hey, I wouldn't do that to the Kiwi. I'm not going to do that to Kiwis next week. I'm not going to tell you how to beat me or where you should have led. Whereas I'm quite happy in a training environment or a practice game, even on Wednesday. The front line was doing really well, but the second line wasn't pushing up. So the front line was putting pressure on us, but then we were able to get our heads up and then find a pass into our kind of midfield, and just providing that feedback to those individuals then and there, saying, actually, your second line needs to press up more. So, having those conversations, asking strikers when I mark them, what do they not like, what do they like? Typically, they don't like being pushed, and that's something we're trying to really work on, our physicality as defenders. That's always a fun, conversation to have with them when they give you a death stare when you do push them. But they're going to get that in international, competition.
Exactly.
So we're hopefully preparing them as best as we possibly can. So, footage is a big one. Also, seeing something different to maybe how you remember it. You remember something one way, and then you get the footage, you're like, oh, that's not how I remembered it. But there you go. That's the benefit of having that footage, and we need to utilise it as much as we can.
And as well as your communication, have you had to, being a male, obviously males as a kind of general consensus aren't the best communicators. So I've done a bit of work with coaching and being able to communicate effectively. Is that communicating for you come naturally? Have you had to kind of work on it a little bit, being younger now, being a little bit older, and now when you talk to younger people, you can from your experience take a route of being able to better prepare someone like that?
Yeah, I think I've always spoken on the field. I've always been a defender, so I've always had to set up the field. So that's something that comes really naturally. Even on my first debut tour, I wasn't afraid of telling someone who'd played plenty more times than me they needed to step left, or they needed to make it, not in a negative way, more I'm going to help you. If I communicate better, you're going to be better for it. You'll be in a better position. So on-field communication has always been something that's been easy for me. Off-field communication, always fine when you're a younger member of the team. I find getting on with people older than me very, very easy. The one thing I probably have had to work on more so recently at a VIS level when I was a leader in that group is understanding that people look at the world differently to me. And not that I don't understand it, because I do understand it, but I don't understand when people don't want to work hard, or why come if you're going to fluff around. And I have had to learn that people don't have the same drive or work ethic as me, and that's fine, and that's their way to approach it, but to accept them as they are. And I think I probably always went in with the approach of, well, I wanted to make them better. I saw all this potential in them. I wanted to help them, and maybe I went in a bit too hot sometimes and, demanded more of them in a positive way, whereas actually I just needed to be there to support them and be a sounding board and understand that, hey, they're not going to do the extras. That's just them as a person, no matter how many times I tell them. So I have a very close and positive relationship with our VIS coach, and she's a sounding board for, goes both ways. But that's been a really good discussion to have, because, I would love to be a leader, whether it's acknowledged leader or a non-acknowledged leader. I'll forever lead in any environment that I'm in. At a Hockey Roos level one day. So if that's the case, and if I do become an acknowledged leader at Hockey Roos, or even a non-acknowledged leader, as in having a title, there'll be a time where I'm one of the more senior athletes in the group, and that time will probably come over from my experiences that I had at VIS. So that's why you have those learning curves.
Yeah, I think as well, when you say, we look at, we have younger players, and they, they might not train as hard, and we kind of so someone like yourself who's very professional, ticks all the boxes, does a lot of work, and he sees someone who's not doing a lot of work, and he kind of look and go, you make a little bit angry because you don't like to see that in yourself. Like, you're not the lazy one. You like to keep working. Not saying the other person's lazy, but might not do all the work. Kind of makes you a little bit angry, and makes you a little bit more emotional, and then you got to kind of separate that, and it's like, it's just another person way that person goes about doing that one thing. And I think one of the biggest learning curves as being a coach for me is that people have, or different players have a unique flair, what makes them good. And sometimes you don't want to change someone's personality. So someone might have a little bit, it's not like a striker, or somebody might play as like a star midfielder might have a little bit of swagger about them, and then they might roll into a gym session, and they're not taking it may look like they're not taking it seriously, but they're still there and they're still doing the work, and you can't put what you think that they should look like onto them.
Yeah,
that makes sense. It's kind of a really hard battle, and it really, that's why I like coaching, because it's very fluid and there's lots of different kind of personalities that you have to work with, and you don't get along with all of them, but it's about getting the best out of them, which I like.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. A saying I've used more recently is you do you, you bring you, and you do that in your own way. I'll do it in my way. I'll be organised, and that will drive some people crazy because they're more than happy to not be organised. But yeah, as you said, embrace everyone's unique flair, everyone's uniqueness. We all have it for a reason. If we were all the same, we'd be robots and we wouldn't be very good.
I feel that.
So yeah,